Hi friends, David W. Coleman here. I thought I'd respond to a post made on my Facebook page in video as opposed to writing it, simply because I thought video would be more effective, to be totally honest. But recently I published a piece by Tim Wise, who is an excellent orator, an excellent writer, an editorial piece about what white people don't understand as it relates to racism in America. They live in this bubble. They live in this this penthouse of exclusion, and not wanting to look at racism as opposed to addressing it. So I published that piece, or at least I posted that piece, which is an excellent piece, and if you get a chance, go to my wall and check it out. And one of my clients responded, and I then responded back, and he didn't like how I responded. And then I believe his wife responded and said they would no longer purchase my products. Well, that's ironic, simply because that's exactly what we should be doing as African Americans, putting eyes on our dollars and not continually spending money with a society, a country that treats us as second-class citizens. Not only that, we shouldn't be spending our capital with them, our human capital. And that means any state who denies the right to vote, who has sought to change the voting laws to limit the right to vote, we shouldn't be sending our children to play for their universities. We shouldn't be sending our children to those universities so that those same universities can get tax cuts. You see, you got to understand something about history, because those who don't know it are doomed to repeat it. During the time Dr. King marched, he marched for years and no one done anything about anything. It wasn't until the African Americans during that time period decided to use their dollars, stop riding their buses, stop spending money in their stores, that things began to change. And more importantly, it wasn't until Dr. King began to marshal the poor of black and white together that he was killed. So to my former client, or former customer, I should say, this is for you, Tony and Terry Lee. I will not sell out my morals or values and dignity for a proverbial 30 pieces of silver. All money is not good money, even though it spends just the same. What's so disheartening about you and those so-called white friends, they know what I stand for. I have not changed in over 30 years, yet many of them espouse racist sayings and support racist acts, and simply expect me and other black people to accept it. No more. Many of them have listened to my show over the years and heard, met, and know my son, yet I fear if for some ungodly reason my son, who is black by the way, was caught in a situation with police not too unfamiliar with many African American males, they would quickly label him a thug, a bad seed, and even more disturbing, a nigger. My mother always told me what I did outside of her presence determined my real character. So I say to my white friends who want to label every black child a thug, every black mother a baby mama, every black man a gangbanger and a drug dealer, and every black person a criminal, your morals are showing, and they are abhorrent, and you and your parents should be ashamed. Sadly, shame has no favor in your minds and hearts as you brazenly wave your racist flags and spout your dog whistle politics. These are the same who claim the rule of law only against minorities, yet turn a blind eye as Wall Street robs us blind, as bankers robs us blind, while a former president launched a war based on a lie, all the while his vice president ran the country on a proxy system. Meanwhile, over 4,000 Americans, men and women, died and countless others were maimed because of a lie. Where are your protestations about the rule of law in those instances? These are the same who supported a racist rancher who is stealing daily from every taxpayer in America, even today, and allowed even more racists to assemble and threaten law enforcement with high-powered rifles and machine guns, yet you say an unarmed black teen deserved death? Are you serious? Where were your protestations for Cliven Bundy as he broke the law and continues to break the law today? And, by the way, threatened to kill law enforcement. How about the anger, or how about being angry against the officer for not following the law that has been upheld for 30 years by the Supreme Court? That you cannot shoot at or shoot a fleeing suspect. Fleeing means he's running away. My white friends do not understand that this is more than just about Mike Brown, Trayvon Martin, Oscar Grant, John Caldwell, the 7-year-old girl Aiyana Stanley, who was tragically murdered in her bed by a police officer, and they all will probably go free. That's just to name a few. It's about a government who dumped crack cocaine into the inner cities and across the country in the early 1980s and watched those communities be destroyed while white private prison owners profited off the death and destruction, while Oliver North was championed as a hero, only to now be proving a liar by time, that he was nothing more than a drug peddling thug masquerading as a patriot. It's about a media who purports to be fair and balanced, yet is the most racist and repugnant media entity I have ever seen in my lifetime. And more importantly, many of those so-called white friends watch, listen, and requote their lies daily. It's about the media mogul who boldly defends a racist film by Ridley Scott that cast blacks only as slaves and states, "Since when are Egyptians white?" Well, let me tell you, since the beginning of time, you ignoramus. The black man and black woman are the progenitors of mankind. And if you believe that Bible you thump, certainly you know that fact among many. And yes, if Jesus really lived, I hate to break it to you, he was a black man, bro. It's about the constant parade of black men, 62%. And 69% total if all other minorities are included, who are being exonerated by the Innocence Project for crimes they never committed. And when research is done, only to find that a white DA or police officer sworn to uphold your laws, pissed on those laws to get a conviction because in his heart he held racist views. Why else would you send a man to prison for a crime he didn't commit, knowing that you had evidence that would exonerate him? Why? I ask you, my so-called white friends. It's about standing behind the false narrative of black on black crime while you ignore white on white crime, which is just as high as if blacks somehow accept criminality, are born with it, are endowed with it, and you ignoring the pure facts that systems are and were put in place that directly related to the dire circumstances many black people live and breathe daily just to scratch out a meager existence. It's about me personally. Just 2 weeks ago, walking downtown with my hood on in Little Rock, Arkansas. It was cold. I had a hood and gloves on. And striking fear into two white women who just moments before smiled and spoke to a white jogger who passed them just minutes before me. And by the way, he too was wearing a hoodie. Days later, walking into the control room of the station, I currently do a sports show with that same coat and hood on, and the white host on before me claimed I startled him and he almost shot me. Did you hear what I just said? This is every day for a black man. But let me move forward. Only 2 days later, on the advice of friends, I traveled to an eating establishment in a part of Jacksonville, Arkansas. And it was freezing cold that morning. And I walked in again with my hoodie and my gloves, only to be confronted by a white bigot sitting at the front table who asked why I had a hood on. And I simply and sternly replied in an obviously irritated voice, "It's cold outside, motherfucker." Just as many of you learned racism, you too can be changed. You can unlearn it. But let me be clear here. This is just me. I, David W. Coleman, will not turn the other cheek to racism. I will not bow down to racist and racism or give in or pray for your deliverance. I will stand tall and fight you with every ounce of my being. I will not go quietly into the night. I will not cower across the street when a white person is walking my way just to protect their prejudice, their ignorance. I will teach my children and their children to be wary and not trust you because it is your evil that is dangerous. It is your racism and bigotry that threatens the very fabric of a nation, of our nation. A nation built, by the way, by immigrants. Fire with fire and force with force, because many of you have proven you will never change your evil and distorted views of me and those who look like me. Now, those whites who call themselves my friend and refuse to understand what black men deal with on a daily basis, then you are and never was my friend. And if you wish not to patronize my business due to your bigotry, due to me standing up and being who I am and standing up for other black people across this globe, please, by all means, let the doorknob hit you where the dog should have bit you. Now, to my real white friends, I ask you to stand up and be counted. I ask you to stand with me, shoulder to shoulder, side by side, as we fight and cut this cancer which has returned from a distant past. Because if you do nothing, if you laugh at the racist jokes, if you party with racist friends, I dare say you are no better than they. Evil can only thrive when good people do nothing. We thought it was over. We were living in a post-racial climate, a country which had overcome a black president. We thought we were living in harmony, only now to realize evil has been plotting our demise. Evil has sought to turn back the clock and accept public lynchings by police who all of a sudden have been endowed as judge, jury, and executioners, and ignoring the rule of law without expectations of punishment and without the expectations that every man is innocent until proven guilty. It's time to stand up, my white friends who are conscious, and not allow yourselves to be painted with that broad racist brush that seems to be going around these days. It is only if we stand together we can defeat those who wish to separate and destroy me and my children's children and other men like myself simply because of the colors of our skin. That, my white friends, my real white friends, is your challenge today. I dare you to accept it. Because I like to say, dare to be different, because you are destined to be great. Thank you. I hope you take this message to heart. I hope you understand this message. And then I hope you get off your damn knees and do something.